Hey everybody, welcome to Canary Cry Radio. My name's Basil.
And this is Gons. Welcome to episode number 125.
125 just keeps getting higher.
Oh, weak sauce.
That's my default.
Yeah. Well, we have a guest on this episode, someone who has really been we should have had him on years ago. For some reason it never happened, but it's happened now, and maybe the timing was divine, because the topic that we're going to be discussing with cryptocurrencies and money and all this stuff, leading up to some of the things happening in the financial sector today and all the massive changes that are about to occur. But let's start early and find out what got this next guest to where he is today. Leonard Ulrich, welcome to Canary Cry Radio. It's long overdue. How you doing, buddy?
Basil, Gons, my life is now complete. It's been a 3-year waiting process. We finally made it. We're on the air together as we should have been.
I know, absolutely. It's so funny because we've had listeners request you so many times. And for some reason, even up until right before we got you on the line, I asked Gons, I'm like, okay, so when was the last time he was on? I totally thought we had you on before, just because we had talked about it so much and we never actually got to it.
Yeah,
yes, this is a dream come true.
Yeah, and then I noticed that you were on episode 100 as a cameo, and promoting the fact, or this idea that you're going to be on the episode in the future, and so here you are.
Well, 25 episodes later, we're on.
Well, buddy, you are the creator of a very popular YouTube film, and I'm sure that film is all over the place, as well as a website, nwotruth.org. Why don't you tell us a little bit? We'll start with that film because I'm sure our listeners are very familiar with it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Just in a nutshell, I created the first film on the New World Order concept called New World Order, Secret Societies, and Bible Prophecy. And really what it is just New World Order, Bible Prophecy 101 kind of film. It has over 40 chapters in it. And it just, from the first opening minute to the last minute, about 2 hours and 26 minutes later, it's just non-stop. I rewrote the narrative script 8 times, cutting every single unnecessary word. So if you really wanted to understand the whole New World Order concept and how it relates to Bible prophecy in just one evening, just watch that film, and then you're up to speed. And I can say it's been critically well received. I can also say that God has led me down this particular path for about 20 to 25 years without me knowing it, so I don't get a big head, because I've been a double major in history during my college years, and I've also been a history teacher in public and private schools. I graduated from a high school with honors and had the highest mark in history award at 92%. And graduated with a 3.8 GPA in my final year of education. I also have 7 years teaching experience. And for some reason, teaching wasn't for me. I just made a lateral move into woodworking, of all things, because I originally got into woodworking to relieve the stress of teaching.
Gotta work with your hands, man.
Work with my hands. Actually, now I work with keyboards. And $500,000 to $1 million machines, and it does literal artificial intelligence woodworking. And so I've said all that to say this: God has allowed me to be able to speak to groups on a historical and technical level, and really take a whole bunch of seemingly contradictory ideas, iron it all out, and explain it simply to people so that they get it. And people appreciate that.
That's awesome, man. And yes, the film is just so popular, been around for a while. People are constantly referencing it. And it's so it's so part of the kind of fringy culture now that even the name is has almost become kind of a genre in its own. It's almost like its own category, kind of defines a category. So that's good. NWO 101 type class. I mean, that's something that is highly needed and has been very valuable in the community, I think. And then you have a website, nwotruth.org, which doesn't surprise me, does not want to open on my browser.
Oh, that shouldn't be.
Well, they're always messing with my access to different parts of the web.
Oh, yeah. That is a sore point with me. When my first film hit the web in March 2011, I had the opportunity to seed the film across all kinds of different individuals' channels. And for some reason, I mean, God has led me down paths against my better judgment, and it's always been for the better. Back in March 2011, I mean, who would have known the massive demonetization campaign and the censorship that was to appear on YouTube the way it has been over the past 2 years or so. So this is important. Even though the film only has 400,000+ views on my own channel, it's got, like I said, a total of 7 million views all over the place. And that is, unbeknownst to me at the time, the best strategy for keeping your video up on YouTube, to make sure that it's seeded all over the place at the expense of popularity.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a noble gesture, allowing others to post up your videos, because Lord knows that many YouTube creators are not so kind when it comes to people mirroring their stuff. But you got the message out there, and, there you go. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, we have to counter the 10,000 social justice warriors that YouTube is now unleashing, looking for quote unquote offensive content. It's just, 2 years ago, if I would have described what we are going through now on YouTube, you would have said it's crazy. How's that possibly going to happen? But it's happening. It's here.
Yep. I hear you, man. Things are just getting crazier and crazier all around us. Everything's getting crazier and crazier. And, I hate to say it, but we've said it before, called it.
Yeah.
I think all of us are part of the community that get to say that, we called it sort of before it all came out. And this last year has been pretty much, validation after validation, which I don't know. It's good and bad. It's like, I told you, yes, we have this problem of satanic pedophiles, but I told you that we have this problem.
So on that topic, I'm seeing and I would like to know what you guys think about this. I'm seeing an increased polarization even within the general Western Christian community. There's a group that wants to know more about this, and then there's, dare I say, a majority who doesn't want to know anything about this. What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Just like with the polarization that's going on between, the left or the right, or the conservative or the liberals, even within groups. And I think this is happening on both the left and the right, but it certainly is happening within the, conservative Christian cultures. It's just getting torn apart and more categorized than ever. And there's certainly groups out there who, this kind of stuff is the last thing they want to take time thinking about.
Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm? This work continues. The story goes on. And an angel still rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm. God bless you all, and God bless America.
Well, I'm glad you guys see it the same way I do. And the good news is that I've had to endure a lot of personal, self-pity temptations, because my film wasn't even allowed to show in my own church.
Oh.
Even though about a mile away in a much bigger church, I won first place against 10 other films in the documentary category in the Winnipeg Reel to Reel Film Festival. So
wow.
that was kind of a sore point. Why is it that my film wins a critical award in another church, but I can't show the film to my church, which I've been attending for actually since before I was born? So that speaks a lot to the polarization.
Wow, yeah, that certainly is the way things are nowadays. But don't worry, buddy, we won't censor you here. You can just go hog wild with all the info here. I mean, especially in the way that things have been in 2018 alone. I mean, things have you think about how tumultuous 2016 was, and 2017 we thought maybe would have calmed down a little bit. Nope, doubled down 2017, and simply January itself amped it up another notch for 2018. What sort of things are you seeing going on right now that are super concerning to you?
Oh my word. I mean, how much time do we have here? I mean, I could go 5 hours. I could go 2 hours.
Just rally.
Yeah, no kidding. We are at a pivot point in so many ways. We are at a pivot point geopolitically. We are at a pivot point politically within America. We are at a pivot point financially. We're at a pivot point socially. Now, what do I mean by pivot points? Well, just this past week in the financial world, and I'd like to concentrate on that because my second film is called The Illusion of Money, because that's what money has become. You've had 2 crashes on the VIX. Now, what does this mean and why should you care? The VIX stands for the Volatility Index. And just this past week, it has spiked up to unbelievable levels, no less higher than the crash of Lehman Brothers in the spring of 2008, which got the whole economic crash ball rolling. Now, the volatility index, gentlemen, this is where derivatives come in. It gets really complicated, but I'm going to make it simple, okay? So if you're an economist out there and you're watching this, you're going to cringe a little bit, but keep in mind, I'm making it simple. The volatility index isn't a stock. It isn't a group of stocks. All it is a gauge of fear, as in what the financial world thinks the market is going to do. When the volatility index goes up, that is a internal financial world signal that says, hey, we think the stock market is going to go down in the immediate future. And that's exactly what happened twice this week. Now, why is this happening? This is happening now because ever since 2008, the entire economic performance of the Western world, and by extension, the entire world, has been based on nothing but air. And that air has come into the stock markets of the world in the form of central bank bailouts. Now, I said this on my interview with Gons on Age of Deceit. Ever since 2008, about $40 trillion has been pumped into the American and global markets. 29 trillion into Wall Street specifically. 8.5 trillion has gone quote unquote missing from the Pentagon. I don't understand how 8.5 trillion can go quote unquote missing. I mean, like, where did it go? Did it sprout legs? Okay. But why is that important? It's important because the Pentagon, in many ways, is the enforcement arm of the US dollar. I mean, the United States dollar is backed by nothing but armies. So if somebody like Saddam Hussein comes along and says, hey, I want to sell my oil for euros, bad idea. Okay, the United States will then come in and label Saddam Hussein a terrorist, even though the United States Army propped up Saddam Hussein against the Iranians back in the day. Just conveniently blot that out of your memory. It never happened. It's a conspiracy theory. Okay, so 8.5 trillion plus 29 trillion plus about 6.5 trillion has been spent on this quote-unquote war on terror. That's about $40 trillion, and that, ladies and gentlemen, works out to about 315,000 US dollars per US household. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is more than enough to forgive all residential mortgages in America. Now, that's the kind of money I'm talking about.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, I gotta say, as somebody who technically counts as a millennial here, I gotta say, growing up with the 2008 crash and hearing what you're hearing and or hearing what you're saying and seeing the same things you're seeing, this seems like we're preparing for another sort of I don't know, some sort of disaster scenario. Is that too strong to say?
No, in fact, it's almost impossible to overplay this. Now, if you're an analyst like I am, if you have 8 years post-secondary education, all kinds of academic awards, you're used to sifting through all kinds of contradictory information. I'm so sick of hearing one gold and silver analyst after another saying, oh, this is gold and silver's year to shine. And then they're constantly wrong. And then I get perspectives from perma bulls and perma bears, and you know what? Most of them are wrong most of the time. But apparently the television and the internet need somebody to talk, so they just keep having the same people on the screen again and again and again. And that is because, in my view, they're not looking at the entire big picture. And the really big picture is only seen through the lens of Bible prophecy. I mean, thousands of years of history and Bible prophecy. So we've never, gentlemen, we've never been in a world that we are in right now. And what do I mean by that? Well, thousands of years ago, you couldn't press a button and fire an intercontinental ballistic missile and vaporize a large city. You can now. And there are people out there who are megalomaniacs, and because there's always been people that have worked that way. I mean, I could go through a list of Roman emperors and say, yeah, that guy was psychotic, that guy was psychotic. Oh yeah, this 14-year-old killed his father so he could be emperor. I mean, so the point is, humanity has always been sick and twisted in the head because it always likes power.
Right.
And in the end, the whole financial system is not about the money. It's actually about power. What do you do for kicks when you can literally steer trillions of dollars around the world? It's not about the money anymore. It's about power. So back about 2 weeks ago now, when we had this false alarm about an incoming missile from Korea, allegedly, on its way to Hawaii, gentlemen, I'm going to stick my neck out. I've been watching the person's reaction who issued that false alarm, who was conveniently fired. Of course, you need to do that to instill confidence in the system. He insists that it wasn't a false alarm. And guess what? I believe him. Here's why.
I heard reports even about people possibly seeing something happening off the coast. And, with systems as important as missile alert systems, you would think that they would have things pretty dialed and you couldn't just accidentally send out an alert. I mean, that's just that can't be how it is.
Right. Okay. We know, and again, when I make a political comment, it's not because I favor one party over the other. I don't pay attention to politics at all. I pay attention to the flow of power. Okay? So I'm not a Donald Trump apologist or a Donald Trump vilifier or Hillary Clinton for that matter. These are all failed, fallen people. They all have their strengths. They all have their weaknesses. Having said that, if I had to choose between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, I would choose Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton 10-1. Not because of political affiliations, but because, I mean, ask yourself, why is Hillary Clinton still married to Bill after he's been a legend as far as infidelity is concerned. He has found himself on Little St. James Island 26 times at the home of a convicted pedophile.
Right.
I mean, this is not conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy fact. So let's just add some facts after facts after facts to paint a picture. Again, not conspiracy theory, not conjecture, because my university training is always in the back of my mind. Gentlemen, you you should have been in my shoes during my years in Donald Young's history class. Professor Young, he would give out marks to my fellow students who were constantly cross-examining each other's papers, and he would give marks out to fellow students as you presented your paper in order to fact-check or cross-examine your presentation. So in other words, you had to be on your best game, and every statement had to be qualified. So with that post-stress in my mind, I've
PTSD from class experience.
Yeah, I've had literal PTSD from history classes back in the day. So Bill Clinton is a sexual predator. That is a qualified statement. Hillary Clinton also found herself on Little St. James Island 6 times. Given the tragedy in Haiti after the earthquake, it is a fact that the Clintons sent a lawyer down to bail out Laura Silsby, who has been repeatedly convicted of trafficking children out of Haiti into the Dominican Republic. Okay, so there's a connection between the pedophilia associated with Washington, D.C., and the Clintons and Haiti. And where did the billions of dollars go that people gave around the world to the Haiti Relief Fund? It went exclusively to the Clinton Global Initiative.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash. One of the things that President I will do is to make sure your money is spent wisely. Haitian people have got a tough journey. Yet, it's amazing how terrible tragedies can bring out the best of the human spirit. We've all seen that firsthand when American citizens responded to the tsunami or to Katrina or the earthquake in Pakistan. And President Clinton and I are going to work to tap that same spirit of giving to help our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean.
I mean, so just pause right there and think about the gravity of what I just said. The Clintons took billions of dollars that were designed to go to the people of Haiti in the wake of the earthquake, and instead, the Clintons are associated with the human trafficking following that tragedy.
Everyone knows, of course, Hillary's belief that it takes a village, which only makes sense, after all, in places like Haiti, where she's taken a number of them. Thank you.
Do I need to say anything more?
No, certainly not. And that connection and that trail of money and power, that's been a haunting trail to follow, especially in the wake of all the Pizzagate nonsense that happened. That came out mainly into the mainstream late last year. Just to take a couple steps back, because we may have gotten. Well, I won't even say off track. We're on another track because
Yes.
all these tracks are good tracks. But you were saying something about the Hawaiian missile alert.
That's right. I'm glad you caught me on that because I was going to wind back to this point.
Oh.
All right. So again, this is a multifaceted analysis, and there are hundreds of factors involved here in what is happening to America right now. So the Clintons, shady, period. That when the Clintons left office, They actually took some of the furniture from the White House with them.
Yeah. And this is a fact, by the way.
This is fact.
Anybody listening, it's fact.
Okay. They also charged exorbitant rents for their business partners and buddies to stay in the Lincoln bedroom while they were in the White House. This is also fact. Okay. I'm just giving you fact after fact, not opinion, not conjecture. Okay. It is also a fact that the Clintons sold, I repeat, sold missile technology secrets to the Chinese back in the day. So what does this have to do with the alert in Hawaii? Well, gentlemen, given all the facts that I just told you, and I had to go down that long trail because what I'm about to say would have sounded absolutely crazy had I not gone down that trail. I have every reason to believe that Democrats and Republicans, like Senator John McCain, who on his own Twitter feed took pictures of himself with ISIS terrorists in Syria, okay, in order to secure Western Syria for the massive pipeline to feed natural gas and petroleum-related products to Western Europe, and in so doing, secure the value of the US dollar, as opposed to a Russia-Chinese pipeline coalition. Okay, so again, we're creating a big picture here, and we're looking at various dots. Back to the missile. I have every reason to believe Democrats and Republicans are in cahoots to some degrees with breakaway or rogue Chinese elements, just as there are rogue elements within the Democratic and Republican parties within America, and actually colluded to fire a real missile from China to Hawaii in order to drag President Trump into war. Now that, gentlemen, is insane.
That is pretty insane. Now, I gotta say, I've heard a lot of crazy things in my life, and I feel like we might be missing a couple dots in that in that train there. I mean, I trust that they're there, but what would how does the Chinese element come into this?
China needs America. There is no business, ironically, than war business, because in a condition of war, you can rack up any amount of debt and always have the excuse of national security to cover it. The Chinese are hurting just as bad as America is hurting. The Chinese, in general, don't have welfare. They have workfare. After this conversation, I would encourage everyone to just go to the internet and type in Chinese ghost cities. There are dozens of huge cities built where nobody lives. I mean, like 12-lane highways, huge shopping malls, airports, and there's nobody there. And that is because, again, China is a unique combination of a communist glove over a capitalist hand. It is the perfect synthesis between socialism and capitalism. That's where America is going to go. So there are elements, like I was just detailing, that I believe are in cooperation with rogue elements in America, and they want to get a war going. This gentleman is the total hand of madness, but this is exactly what the Bible said would happen.